The top 0.01% achieve success not by chance, but by following a set of time-tested principles that guide their every move. These principles are not complex, but they are powerful and often overlooked by those who remain stuck in mediocrity. What separates the high achievers from the rest is their ability to adopt the right mindset, make intentional decisions, and execute consistently. The 21 principles that shape the lives of the most successful individuals are built on simplicity and effectiveness. They are the foundation that supports exceptional achievement across all areas of life. Applying these principles can transform your personal and professional journey, shifting your mindset and actions toward extraordinary results. This isn't about shortcuts or quick fixes. This is about committing to real, sustainable growth that requires dedication and discipline. The principles that I'm about to outline will demand your focus, but the rewards are immeasurable. If you're determined to rise above the ordinary, to think on a larger scale, and to achieve lasting success, these principles are the key to unlocking your full potential. Number 1, be misunderstood. You know, one of the greatest signs that you're on the right path in life is when people don't understand you. They'll look at you and say, "What are you doing? Why are you wasting your time on this? Why don't you just do what everyone else is doing?" And that's when you know you're onto something big. See, the majority of people live their lives inside a small, comfortable box. They follow the same routines, think the same thoughts, and believe the same things they've been told their whole lives. The moment you decide to step out of that, the moment you start thinking for yourself, making bold decisions, chasing something greater, that's when the resistance comes. That's when people start shaking their heads at you. And that's exactly what should happen. I remember when I first started in business, I was young, broke, and searching for something better. My friends and family, well, they meant well, but they didn't see what I saw. They said, "Jim, just get a good job. Play it safe. Stop trying to do things differently." They thought they were helping me, but what they were really doing was trying to pull me back into their way of thinking. See, when you try to do something different, people don't always react with encouragement. They react with fear, because if you succeed, it proves that they could have done more, but they didn't. And that's an uncomfortable truth for a lot of people. So they'll doubt you, they'll criticize you, they'll tell you that you're wasting your time, not because they don't want you to succeed, but because your success forces them to confront their own excuses. But here's the thing, you have to keep going anyway. You have to learn to be comfortable being misunderstood. It's not a bad thing. It's not a problem. It's a sign that you're on the right track. Look at history. The greatest minds, the most successful people, the ones who changed the world, they were all misunderstood. When Thomas Edison was inventing the light bulb, people called him a fool. They laughed at him, told him it was impossible. But did that stop him? No, he just kept going. When Elon Musk started talking about sending people to Mars and making electric cars the future, people said he was crazy. They didn't believe him. Now, the world follows his lead. That's the pattern. The people who achieve the most in life are always the ones who are doubted, criticized, and misunderstood at first. But instead of getting discouraged, they use it as fuel. They keep going. They let their results do the talking. Now I get it. Being misunderstood isn't easy. It's uncomfortable. It can feel lonely at times. But you have to remind yourself why you started. You have to trust your own vision, even when nobody else does. The truth is, most people are looking for approval. They want permission. They want someone to tell them, yes, you're doing the right thing. But the ones who succeed don't wait for permission. They move forward even when no one understands them. They don't need validation. They just keep building, keep learning, keep improving. And then something interesting happens. After you succeed, after you prove yourself, suddenly, all those people who doubted you, they start changing their tune. They start saying, "I always knew you had it in you. I believed in you the whole time." Isn't that funny? The same people who once shook their heads at you will eventually act like they supported you from the start. But by that time, you won't even care, because you'll be too busy winning. Now I want you to think about something. Right now, in your life, what are you holding back on because you're afraid of what people will say? What dream are you putting off because you don't want to be misunderstood? If you're waiting for the world to understand you before you take action, you'll be waiting forever. You have to make a decision. Do you want to fit in, or do you want to stand out? Do you want to be comfortable, or do you want to be great? Because you can't have both. The top 0.01%, the people who create real success, real impact, real change, they don't seek approval. They don't need everyone to get it. They just do the work. So from now on, When people don't understand you, don't get frustrated. Don't get discouraged. Smile, because that means you're on the right path. That means you're doing something worth doing. That means you're growing into something greater than they can see right now. And one day when you've made it, when you've built something incredible, those same people who doubted you will look back and say, I should have listened. Number 2, ask better questions. Most people don't realize it, but the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask. And I don't just mean asking other people. I mean the questions you ask yourself every single day. See, the average person wakes up and asks, why is life so hard? Why can't I catch a break? Why does this always happen to me? And guess what? Your mind will always find an answer. If you ask, why am I always unlucky? Your brain will search for reasons to prove you right. It'll say, well, because you never get the right opportunities. Because other people have more advantages than you, because life is unfair. And just like that, you've trapped yourself in a cycle of negativity. But the top 0.01%, the people who achieve the highest levels of success and fulfillment, they ask different questions. They wake up and ask, how can I make today productive? What can I do right now to move forward? What lesson can I learn from this setback? See the difference? It's a shift in mindset. Instead of looking for excuses, they look for solutions. I'll tell you something that changed my life. I started asking myself every day, what's the one thing I can do today that will have the biggest impact on my future? And you know what happened? My focus changed. I stopped wasting time on things that didn't matter. I stopped making decisions based on short-term emotions. I started thinking strategically, looking at the bigger picture, and that made all the difference. Most people never think to question their own beliefs. They just accept whatever they've been told since they were kids. They hear things like, money is hard to make, and they never ask, is that actually true? They believe success is for other people, not for me. And they never ask, why not me? See, the moment you start questioning what you've always believed, you open the door to growth. And this applies to every area of life. In business, in relationships, in health. Asking better questions leads to better results. Instead of saying, why am I struggling? Ask, what skills do I need to develop to overcome this challenge? Instead of saying, why don't people respect me? Ask, how can I add more value to others? Instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this teaching me? The problem is, most people are too afraid to ask tough questions. They don't want to look at themselves honestly. They don't want to admit that they might need to change. But the truth is, growth only happens when you challenge yourself. You have to be willing to ask, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to improve? Where am I holding myself back? That's not easy, but it's necessary. I remember talking to a young man once. He said, Jim, I want to be successful, but I just don't have the right connections. I don't have the resources. I don't have the time. And I said, all right, let's change the question. Instead of asking why you don't have those things, ask yourself, how can I create those opportunities? How can I make time? How can I build the right relationships? See, the right question shifts your focus. It moves you from a place of helplessness to a place of action. If you take one thing from this, let it be this. Start paying attention to the questions you ask yourself every day. Stop asking, why is life so unfair? And start asking, how can I make the most of what I have? Stop asking, why am I stuck? And start asking, what's the next step I can take? Because the truth is, life is always responding to the questions you ask. You just have to make sure you're asking the right ones. Number 3, be resourceful. Most people think success is about having the perfect plan, the right connections, or the ideal circumstances. But the truth is, the most successful people in the world didn't start with everything laid out for them. They started with one thing, resourcefulness. See, the difference between the people who make it and the people who don't isn't talent, luck, or intelligence. It's the ability to figure things out, no matter what. A lot of people sit around waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for everything to fall into place before they take action. They say, I'll start when I have more money. I'll take that risk when I have more experience. I'll work on my dream when the timing is right. But here's the problem with that. The timing will never be perfect. The resources will never magically appear. If you wait for all the conditions to be right, you'll wait forever. The people in the top 0.01% question mark. They don't wait. They move forward with whatever they have. Even if it's not much. They don't say, I can't, because I don't have enough. They say, how can I make this work with what I have? That's resourcefulness. It's not about having all the answers. It's about being relentless in finding solutions. I'll tell you a story. Years ago, I knew a man who wanted to start a business. He had no money, no experience, and no connections. But he had one thing: he was resourceful. Instead of making excuses, he started looking for creative ways to get what he needed. He offered to work for free to gain experience. He built relationships with people who could help him. He found ways to make money on the side to fund his business. Today, he's a multimillionaire, not because he had advantages, but because he refused to let a lack of resources stop him. And that's what you have to do. You have to stop focusing on what you don't have and start using what you do have. You don't have money? Fine. What skills can you use to create income? You don't have experience. No problem. Who can you learn from? You don't have the right connections. Great. Start building relationships. See, life doesn't reward the people who wait for things to happen. It rewards the people who make things happen. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not willing to find solutions, it won't mean a thing. And let me tell you something. You don't need a perfect plan to start. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take the first step. The moment you start moving forward, doors will open. The reason most people fail isn't because they're not capable. It's because they talk themselves out of trying. They see obstacles and immediately assume it's impossible. But the truth is, there's always a way. Always. You just have to be willing to look for it. And here's the thing. Being resourceful isn't just about money or success. It's about how you approach everything in life. If you face a challenge in your personal life, are you going to sit there and complain? Or are you going to figure out a way to improve the situation? If you're struggling with something, are you going to give up? Or are you going to find a way through? That's the mindset that separates the winners from the losers. So if you want to be in that top 0.01%, start thinking differently. Stop saying I can't. Start asking how can I? Stop waiting for permission, for help, for the perfect circumstances. Take what you have and make something happen. Because the truth is, there is no such thing as a lack of resources, only a lack of resourcefulness. Number 4, find hidden opportunities. Opportunities are everywhere, but most people never see them. Not because they don't exist, but because they're not paying attention. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't luck. It's awareness. The top 0.01% don't wait for opportunities to show up. They train themselves to find what others overlook. They understand that the best opportunities are often hidden, disguised as problems, setbacks, or challenges. Most people think opportunities come in the form of a golden ticket, something obvious, something handed to them on a silver platter. They expect success to knock on their door and say, "Here's your chance." But that's not how it works. The real opportunities in life, they come wrapped in difficulty. They show up when things don't go as planned. They appear in places most people are too afraid to look. And that's why the majority never find them. If you want to be in the top 0.01%, you have to start thinking differently. You have to stop looking for the easy way and start looking for the hidden potential in every situation. A failed business? That's an opportunity to learn what doesn't work and build something stronger. A job loss? That's an opportunity to finally start your own thing. A rejection? That's an opportunity to improve, to prove yourself, to come back better. Every setback carries a hidden door, but most people are too busy complaining about the wall in front of them to notice it. The key is to ask yourself better questions. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "Where is the opportunity in this?" Instead of saying, "This isn't fair," ask, "What can I do with what I have?" Because the truth is, there is always something you can do. There is always a way forward. The people who succeed don't have fewer problems than you. They just see those problems differently. Think about the businesses that changed the world. Uber didn't create the idea of taxis. It found a hidden opportunity in a broken system. Airbnb didn't invent the concept of renting space. It saw an opportunity where hotels were missing out. Every major breakthrough, every major success story started with someone seeing something others ignored. And that's what you have to do. Train yourself to look beyond the surface. When you see a problem, don't just see the problem. See what's possible on the other side of it. When things go wrong, don't just react. Step back and ask, what's the hidden advantage here? Because the truth is, most people are too busy being frustrated, too busy looking at what's wrong, that they never even consider what could be right. This mindset doesn't just apply to business or money. It applies to everything. Your relationships, your career, your personal growth. The people who win in life are the ones who stop waiting for things to be easy and start seeing obstacles as stepping stones. They're the ones who ask, what can I do with what I've got? Instead of why don't I have more? So if you want to be part of that top 0.01%, start looking at the world differently. Train yourself to find what others miss. Learn to see the hidden doors where everyone else sees walls. Because once you do that, you'll realize something powerful. Opportunity isn't rare. It's everywhere. You just have to know where to look. Number 5, demonstrate value ahead of time. Most people have it all backward. They wait for opportunities to come to them. They wait for someone to recognize their value, to give them a shot, to open the door. But that's not how the top 0.01% operate. They don't wait for permission. They don't wait to be chosen. They demonstrate value ahead of time. They make themselves undeniable. Think about it. If you were hiring for the most important position in your company, would you take a chance on someone who just talks about how great they are? Or would you pick the person who has already proven they can do the job before you even ask? The answer is obvious. And that's exactly how the best of the best position themselves in life. You see, the average person wants rewards before they've proven themselves. They want trust before they've earned it. They want opportunities before they've shown they deserve them. But the real winners, they flip the script. They go out and provide so much undeniable value that people have no choice but to take notice. This applies to everything: business, relationships, personal growth. The person who gives first, who brings value to the table before expecting anything in return, is always the one who ends up ahead. If you want people to invest in you, invest in them first. If you want to be respected, show up and prove you're worth respecting. If you want to build a powerful network, be the one who brings solutions, who helps others, who over-delivers without being asked. And here's the key. When you provide value without expecting anything back, something incredible happens. You start creating opportunities where there were none before. People start remembering your name. They start seeing you as someone who makes things happen. You become an asset, someone they want to be around, someone they want to help in return. Most people miss this because they're too focused on what they're going to get. They walk into situations asking, what's in it for me? Instead of asking, how can I contribute? And that's why they never break through. That's why they stay stuck. The top 0.01%, they do the opposite. They lead with value. They prove their worth before anyone asks them to. Look at the people who are at the top of their game. Look at how they got there. Did they demand success? No. They built it by showing up, by demonstrating skill, by giving more than they took. The best businesses don't just sell products. They provide solutions. The best leaders don't just bark orders. They inspire and empower. The best athletes don't just talk about their talent. They show up and dominate. This is how you separate yourself from the pack. You stop waiting. You stop asking. You start showing. You start proving. And you do it consistently, whether anyone is watching or not. Because when you become the kind of person who demonstrates value ahead of time, success doesn't become a matter of if. It becomes a matter of when. Number 6, give to receive. Most people go through life thinking they'll start giving once they have enough. They'll help others once they've made it. They'll be generous when they're successful. But that's not how the top 0.01% think. They understand a fundamental truth about life. If you want to receive, you have to give first. This isn't just some feel-good philosophy. It's a principle of success. You want respect. Give respect first. You want opportunity. Create opportunities for others. You want wealth. Start by providing value. The world doesn't reward takers. It rewards those who contribute, those who bring something to the table, those who add to the lives of others. And here's what separates the winners from the losers. Winners don't give with the expectation of getting something back right away. They don't keep score. They give because they know that when you put value into the world, it always finds its way back to you. Maybe not immediately, maybe not in the way you expected, but it always returns. Think about the most successful people. Do you notice how much they invest in others? The top entrepreneurs, leaders, and high performers, they don't just hoard knowledge, they share it. They don't just keep their resources to themselves. They create opportunities for others. They don't just demand loyalty. They give it first. And that's exactly why they rise to the top. The average person, though, does the opposite. They hold back. They think, why should I help them? What's in it for me? They're afraid to give because they're operating from a mindset of scarcity. They think if they give, they'll have less. But the people who win in life understand that the more you give, the more you grow. The more you contribute, the more opportunities come your way. And here's the thing, you can start right now no matter where you are. You don't need millions in the bank to be generous. You don't need to be in a position of power to offer value. You can give your time, your knowledge, your energy, your support. You can be someone who lifts others up, who helps without expecting anything in return. And when you do, you'll notice something amazing. People start gravitating toward you. Doors start opening that you never expected. People start trusting you, recommending you, bringing you into their circles. Because when you're someone who gives, people remember that. And when the time comes for an opportunity, who do you think they'll call? The person who only looked out for themselves, or the person who showed up, who helped, who provided value without being asked. This is what the top 0.01% understand. They don't just take, they contribute. They don't just wait for opportunities. They create them by being valuable. And that's why they win. You want success? You want respect? You want opportunities? Then start giving. Because when you give, you're not just helping others, you're building the foundation for everything you want in life. Number 7, invest in your priorities. You can tell a lot about a person by looking at where they invest their time, energy, and money. Success isn't random. It's a result of prioritizing the right things over and over again until the results become undeniable. The top 0.01% don't waste time on things that don't serve them. They don't spend their energy on distractions. They don't throw their money at things that don't matter. Instead, they invest in their priorities. And what does that mean? It means they know exactly what's important to them. They don't just go with the flow, hoping success will find them. They take control, they set clear priorities, and they protect them at all costs. If health is a priority, they don't just talk about getting in shape, they make time for it, no matter how busy they are. If financial freedom is a priority, they don't blow money on things that impress other people. They invest in things that grow their wealth. If relationships matter, they don't make excuses about being too busy. They put in the effort to nurture them. The difference between winners and everyone else isn't just talent or intelligence. It's discipline. It's the ability to say no to things that don't align with their goals. It's the willingness to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term success. The problem is most people don't even know what their real priorities are. They say they want success, but they spend hours scrolling through social media. They say they want to be financially free, but they spend every paycheck on things they don't need. They say they want to improve, but they never invest in learning and skills and personal growth. If you want to separate yourself from the crowd, start getting serious about where your time, energy, and money are going. If something isn't pushing you forward, it's holding you back. And if you keep giving your best hours, your best effort, and your best resources to things that don't matter, you'll look back years from now wondering why nothing changed. The top 0.01% make intentional choices. They don't just work hard, they work smart. They understand that every decision, no matter how small, is either an investment in their future or a withdrawal from it. And because they see life this way, they build momentum. They make small, smart investments every single day. And over time, those investments compound into massive results. It all starts with getting clear on what truly matters to you. Not what society says should matter. Not what your friends or family think you should focus on. What do you want? Where do you want to be in 5 years? In 10? Once you know that, start making decisions that align with that vision. Guard your time. Protect your energy. Spend your money on things that build you up, not things that pull you down. Success isn't an accident. It's the result of thousands of small, intentional choices. And the people at the top, they've simply mastered the art of choosing wisely. Number 8, be grateful for bigger problems. Nobody likes problems. Nobody wakes up excited to deal with challenges, setbacks, or obstacles. But here's something most people never understand. The size of your problems determines the size of your success. The top 0.01% don't run from problems. They don't complain about them. They actually welcome bigger problems because they know something that the average person doesn't. Bigger problems mean bigger opportunities. Think about it. If you're dealing with small problems, things like struggling to pay rent, arguing over petty things, or stressing about what other people think, you're playing a small game. But when you start solving bigger problems, when you start handling challenges that most people can't, you separate yourself. You move into a different league. The top earners, the most successful people in the world, they're not running from stress. They're not avoiding responsibility. They're looking for challenges that force them to grow, because they know the only way to level up in life is to level up in the problems they solve. A broke person looks at money problems and panics. A wealthy person looks at money problems and strategizes. A weak person faces adversity and complains. A strong person faces adversity and sees it as a test of character. The difference isn't in the problem itself, it's in how they respond to it. If you keep avoiding problems, you stay exactly where you are. But if you start seeing problems as opportunities, you open doors that most people will never even knock on. Every successful person you admire got to where they are because they tackled problems. Most people avoid it. You think billionaires don't have stress? You think elite athletes don't deal with setbacks? You think powerful leaders don't wake up with pressure on their shoulders? Of course they do, but they've trained themselves to see problems differently. They don't break under pressure. They rise because of it. So the next time life throws a challenge at you, don't complain. Don't wish for an easier life. Instead, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How is this making me stronger? How can I use this to grow? Because once you shift your mindset, once you start welcoming bigger problems instead of avoiding them, you'll realize that every major breakthrough in life comes right after a big challenge. Most people quit when things get hard. The top 0.01% push through, and that's exactly why they're at the top. Number 9, think like a millionaire before you become one. If you want to become a millionaire, you have to start thinking like one before you ever see a dime of that money. Most people get this completely backward. They say, once I have money, I'll start acting differently. But that's not how it works. You don't wait until you're successful to develop the habits, the mindset, and the discipline. You build those things first, and then success follows. Look at the people who never break out of the cycle of struggle. They think small, they play it safe, and they make decisions based on fear instead of vision. They tell themselves stories like, I'm just not the kind of person who can be rich, or people like me don't get those kinds of opportunities. And because they believe that, they never take the steps necessary to change their reality. But successful people, they think differently. They see money as a tool, not a finish line. They don't let their current circumstances dictate their future. They act as if they already belong in the room, already deserve the success, and already have the mindset required to handle wealth. This isn't about spending money recklessly or pretending to be rich when you're not. That's fake success. What I'm talking about is adopting the mindset of a person who knows they are capable of creating wealth. That means thinking long-term instead of chasing quick wins. That means valuing growth over comfort. That means investing in yourself, in your skills, in your ability to produce results. If you put $1 million into the hands of someone with a poor mindset, they'll lose it in no time. But if you take away all the money from a self-made millionaire, they'll find a way to make it all back. Why? Because success is never just about the money, it's about who you become. It's about the habits, the knowledge, and the way you see the world. Start thinking like a millionaire today. Carry yourself with confidence. Make decisions based on the person you want to be, not the person you are right now. Develop discipline, eliminate distractions, and surround yourself with people who elevate you instead of hold you back. When you start thinking like a millionaire before you become one, you're no longer just hoping for success, you're guaranteeing it. Number 10, think bigger and go global. You have to start thinking bigger, not just a little bigger, 10 times bigger. The people at the top, the ones who dominate their industries and create generational wealth, don't limit themselves to what's comfortable or familiar. They think beyond their hometown, beyond their country, beyond what's right in front of them. They go global. The average person sets goals that feel achievable, goals that fit inside the world they know. They aim for a higher salary, a little more savings, maybe a promotion. But the top 0.01% don't think that way. They don't ask, how can I make an extra $10,000 this year? They ask, how can I make $10 million? They don't just think about starting a business. They think about building an empire. They don't just want to be good at something. They want to be the best in the world. When you start thinking globally, everything changes. You stop seeing limitations, and you start seeing possibilities. You realize that your potential isn't capped by your surroundings. You don't have to rely on a single source of income, a single market, or a single opportunity. The internet has made it possible to reach people across the world, to build something that impacts millions, to create wealth on a level that previous generations couldn't even imagine. But you have to be willing to think that big. Thinking globally also means surrounding yourself with people who challenge you to grow. If you only talk to people who think small, you'll stay small. But if you connect with people who are playing the game at a higher level, your entire mindset shifts. You see how they operate, how they solve problems, how they take risks. You start to understand that success isn't reserved for a special few. It's available to anyone willing to think, act, and execute at the highest level. Don't let your current circumstances define what's possible for you. Expand your vision. Ask yourself, what would this look like if I scaled it to 10 times its size? How can I take what I do and make an impact, not just in my city, not just in my country, but around the world? The moment you start asking those questions, you step into a new level of success. You stop competing with the people around you and start playing in a league of your own. Number 11, win or learn. There is no losing. Success is not about winning every time. It's about growth, learning, and adaptation. The people at the top 0.01%, don't see failure the way most people do. They don't see it as a reason to quit or a sign that they aren't good enough. They see every experience, good or bad, as a lesson that moves them forward. They understand one thing very clearly. You either win or you learn. There is no losing. When something doesn't go your way, you have two choices. You can sit there feeling sorry for yourself, complaining about how unfair life is, or you can step back, analyze what happened, and take the lesson with you. The ones who make it to the top always choose the second option. They know that failure is nothing more than feedback. It's life telling you what works and what doesn't. It's an opportunity to adjust, improve, and come back stronger. Think about the most successful people in history. Do you think they got everything right the first time? No, they failed, they struggled, they made mistakes. But they never saw those mistakes as the end. Every loss was a stepping stone to something greater. Every setback was a setup for a comeback. They didn't let temporary defeats define them. Instead, they used them as fuel. If you want to be in the top 0.01%, you have to adopt this mindset. You have to stop fearing failure and start embracing it. When something goes wrong, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What could I have done differently? How can I use this to my advantage? Because the truth is, the people who win in the long run are the ones who learn the most along the way. Most people never reach their full potential because they let a single failure destroy their confidence. They take one loss and convince themselves they aren't good enough. They quit before they've even given themselves a real chance to succeed. But the best, they don't quit. They adjust, they evolve, they keep going. And that's why they win. Number 12, set goals that force growth. If you want to grow, if you want to reach levels most people can't even imagine, you have to set goals that force you to grow, not goals that are easy, not goals that you know you can hit without much effort. Goals that stretch you, push you, and demand the best version of you. Because that's the secret to success, constant, relentless growth. A weak goal is a dangerous thing. If your goals don't challenge you, they won't change you. If they don't scare you a little, they're not big enough. Too many people set goals that are within reach because they don't want to fail. They want to feel good about themselves by setting the bar low. But the problem is, when the goal is too small, there's no real motivation. There's no urgency. There's no fire. The best in the world don't play small. They don't aim for what's convenient or comfortable. They set goals that demand they evolve. They commit to something so big, so ambitious, that they have no choice but to become a stronger, smarter, more disciplined version of themselves. Because the goal isn't just about the outcome, it's about the transformation that happens along the way. Think about it. If you set a goal to make a little extra money, you might find a side job, work a few more hours, and that's it. But if you set a goal to become financially independent, to create a business, to build something that lasts, now you have to learn. Now you have to develop skills, take risks, and think long-term. That kind of goal forces you to grow. This is why most people never break out of their current situation. They set goals that keep them in the same place. They aim for just enough, instead of aiming for excellence. But if you want to separate yourself, if you want to be in that top 0.01%, you have to think differently. You have to push yourself in ways others won't. You have to chase something that forces you to level up. Every great achievement starts with a goal that seemed impossible at first. But here's the truth. It's only impossible until you grow into the person who can achieve it. That's the real challenge. Not the goal itself, but becoming the kind of person who can make it happen. If you stay the same, you'll never reach the next level. But if you're willing to grow, to change, to adapt, there's no limit to what you can achieve. So don't play it safe. Set the kind of goals that force you to evolve. Set goals that demand more from you, that make you uncomfortable, that require you to become better than you are today. Because when you do that, success isn't a matter of luck, it's a matter of time. Number 13, praise in public, criticize in private. If you want to build strong relationships, whether in business, leadership, or personal life, you need to understand one simple rule: praise in public, criticize in private. This principle separates weak leaders from strong ones, amateurs from professionals, and people who struggle from those who win respect and influence. Nobody likes to be called out in front of others. Nobody enjoys being embarrassed. And if you've ever been on the receiving end of public criticism, you know exactly how it feels. It doesn't inspire improvement. It doesn't make you want to do better. It only makes you defensive, resentful, or even humiliated. That's not how you help someone grow. That's how you push them away. But praise, that's different. When you acknowledge someone's efforts in front of others, when you recognize their hard work publicly, it fuels them. It makes them want to do more. It creates loyalty, motivation, and a culture of excellence. People thrive when they feel appreciated. And when that appreciation is shared openly, it amplifies their drive. Great leaders understand this. They don't wait until everything is perfect to give recognition. They find moments, even small ones, to call out the good. If someone on their team does a great job, they make sure others hear about it. If a friend or family member steps up, they acknowledge it. Because praise isn't just about making someone feel good. It reinforces behavior. It makes people want to keep improving. But when it comes to mistakes, when it comes to corrections, that's a different story. The best leaders, the ones who know how to bring out the best in people, don't embarrass others in front of an audience. If there's an issue, they handle it privately. They pull the person aside, have a direct conversation, and focus on solutions, not just problems. They don't humiliate. They educate. And let's be clear, this isn't about avoiding tough conversations. It's not about being passive or ignoring mistakes. It's about delivering feedback in a way that actually works. Because when someone is criticized publicly, their instinct is to protect themselves. They stop listening. They stop growing. But when you handle it one-on-one, with respect and honesty, you give them a real chance to learn. The best relationships, whether in business, leadership, or even personal life, are built on trust. And trust is built when people know they'll be treated with fairness and respect. If you follow this principle, you create an environment where people aren't afraid to step up, take risks, and push themselves. Because they know that if they succeed, they'll be recognized. And if they make a mistake, they'll be corrected in a way that helps them grow. That's how you build loyalty. That's how you lead. That's how you earn the respect of those around you. Give credit where it's due. Lift people up. And when it's time for correction, do it in a way that makes them better, not bitter. Number 14. Understand the 4 C's of leverage. Leverage is one of the most powerful tools you can use to accelerate success. It's what separates those who grind endlessly, with little to show for it, from those who multiply their results, without burning themselves out. If you don't understand leverage, you'll always be stuck doing everything yourself, working harder than necessary, and falling behind those who know how to work smarter. There are 4 key areas of leverage that high achievers use to their advantage: capital, collaboration, content, and code. Each one plays a critical role in scaling success. The first is capital. Money works for those who know how to use it. If you want to grow, you need to stop thinking about money as something you only spend, and start seeing it as a tool that multiplies your efforts. The wealthy don't work for money. They make money work for them. Whether it's investing in assets, hiring talent, or funding a business, capital is leverage that turns small moves into big gains. The second is collaboration. Trying to do everything on your own is a losing game. The top 0.01% understand that success is not a solo journey. They build strong teams, they delegate, and they align themselves with the right people. The bigger your vision, the more you need others to help execute it. Smart entrepreneurs, leaders, and high performers create networks of talent and influence that allow them to accomplish things at a scale they could never achieve alone. Then there's content. In today's world, content is leverage. A single video, a single piece of writing, a single message can reach millions of people. Instead of repeating the same thing over and over, The most successful people use media to amplify their ideas, their brand, and their business. It's why top leaders write books, create videos, launch podcasts. They understand that content works for them even while they sleep. And finally, there's code. Technology is one of the greatest multipliers of all time. Automating systems, building software, and creating scalable solutions allow businesses and individuals to grow exponentially. Instead of being stuck in manual, repetitive tasks, those who leverage technology free themselves up to focus on higher-level strategy and impact. The difference between those who struggle and those who rise to the top is how well they use leverage. If you rely only on your own effort, your growth is limited. But when you master capital, collaboration, content, and code, you put yourself in a position where your results compound over time. This is how high performers move faster, build bigger, and achieve more without working themselves into exhaustion. If you're serious about elevating your life, start thinking about leverage. Start asking yourself, how can I make my money work for me? How can I surround myself with the right people? How can I create content that scales my influence? How can I use technology to multiply my impact? The answers to these questions will change everything. Number 15, buy back your time. Time is the most valuable resource you have. It's the one thing you can never get back. You can lose money and make it again. You can rebuild a business, start over, and recover from failures. But time, once it's gone forever. And that's why the people at the top, the ones who are truly successful, understand the power of buying back their time. Most people trade their time for money. They work an hourly job or run a business where they're involved in every little detail. They wake up, grind, handle every task themselves, and at the end of the day, they're exhausted. They tell themselves they're working hard, but what they're really doing is keeping themselves trapped in a cycle where they never have the time or energy to break free. The top 0.01% think differently. They don't just work harder, they work smarter. They understand that success isn't about doing everything. It's about focusing on what truly moves the needle and delegating or automating the rest. They buy back their time by hiring people, building systems, and eliminating distractions. They don't see outsourcing as an expense. They see it as an investment. If you want to level up your life, you have to start thinking about what your time is worth. If you're spending hours on tasks that someone else could do for a fraction of the value you bring, you're wasting your potential. Every minute you spend on something that doesn't require your unique skills is a minute you're taking away from the things that actually push you forward. Look at the most successful entrepreneurs, athletes, and leaders. They don't do everything themselves. They have assistants, teams, and systems in place to handle the things that don't require their direct involvement. They free up their schedule so they can focus on strategy, growth, and the things only they can do. That's not luck. That's intentional. Some people think they can't afford to buy back their time. They tell themselves, I don't have the money to hire someone, or I can't let go of control. But that's the mindset that keeps them stuck. You don't have to be a millionaire to start leveraging your time. Even simple things, outsourcing small tasks, automating repetitive work, or eliminating distractions, can have a massive impact. The goal is to shift from being the one doing everything to being the one who directs everything. That's how you scale. That's how you go from working in your life to working on your life. And when you make that shift, everything changes. You stop feeling overwhelmed. You stop burning yourself out. You start making decisions that create freedom instead of stress. Buying back your time isn't just about making life easier. It's about creating the space to think, to grow, and to build something bigger than yourself. It's about putting yourself in a position where you're not just surviving, but thriving. And when you do that, you don't just move faster, you move smarter, and you move with purpose. Number 16, follow the 10-80-10 rule. There's a pattern to success that most people don't see. The top 0.01% don't just work harder. They work in a way that maximizes their results. They know how to allocate their effort, energy, and focus where it matters most. One of the smartest ways to do that is by following the 10-80-10 rule. What does that mean? It means understanding where you bring the most value and where you don't. The first 10% of any project or goal should be where you step in and set the vision. That's where you lay the foundation. You figure out the direction, define the standards, and establish what success looks like. That's your role as a leader, whether it's in your business, career, or personal life. If you don't set the vision, someone else will, and you might not like the results. The next 80% is where you let go. This is where most people struggle because they think they need to control every step. They micromanage, they hover over every detail. But that's a losing game. The most successful people delegate. They trust capable hands to execute the plan. They surround themselves with people who can take their vision and bring it to life. They understand that if they try to do it all, they'll end up doing nothing at a high level. The final 10% is where they step back in. This is where they refine, improve, and optimize. They don't wait until the project is completely finished before they give their input. They come in at the end to make sure everything is polished, everything meets their standard, and nothing gets overlooked. That last 10% is where the difference between average and world-class is made. Most people waste their energy in the middle. They get lost in the 80%, handling things that don't require their unique skills. They try to be involved in every step, and in the process, they burn out. That's why they never scale. That's why they stay stuck, wondering why their results don't match their effort. It's not because they aren't working hard. It's because they aren't working smart. The most effective people in the world don't do everything. They do the right things at the right time. They step in when their presence makes the biggest impact. And they step out when it doesn't. They don't just push harder. They build systems that allow them to operate at a higher level. They create leverage. And leverage is what separates those who stay average from those who rise to the top. If you want to break into that elite level, you have to stop doing everything yourself. You have to trust people. You have to build a team, whether that's in business, your career, or even just how you manage your life. You have to let go of the idea that success means controlling everything. The real key to success is knowing where to apply your focus and where to step back. Following the 10-80-10 rule doesn't just make you more efficient. It makes you unstoppable. It frees up your time, your energy, and your mind so you can focus on what truly moves you forward. It allows you to work less on the things that drain you and more on the things that drive you. And when you do that, you don't just succeed, you dominate. Number 17, think 10x, not 2x. Most people think too small. They play it safe. They set goals that feel comfortable, goals they know they can achieve if they just work a little harder. But that's the problem. The moment you set a goal you already know how to achieve, you've already lost. You're operating at the same level you're already at, and that's never going to create massive change. The top 0.01% don't think in small steps. They think in leaps. They don't ask, how can I double my success? They ask, how can I multiply it by 10? Because here's the truth. When you set a goal that's only slightly bigger than where you are now, you don't change much. You keep doing what you've always done, just with a little more effort. But when you aim for 10x growth, everything shifts. Your strategy changes. Your mindset changes. Your actions become radically different. If you want to go from making $100,000 a year to $200,000, you'll probably just work harder, pick up extra hours, maybe push a little more. But if your goal is to hit $1 million, you're forced to think in a completely new way. You realize you can't just work more hours. You have to create something scalable. You have to build systems, find leverage, and move beyond just working harder. That's the power of thinking 10x instead of 2x. Most people never do this because 10x feels overwhelming. It feels unrealistic. But that's only because they're looking at it through the wrong lens. They're trying to get to 10x by doing the same things they're doing now, just more of it. And that's never going to work. You don't get 10x results by making small adjustments. You get there by completely rethinking how you operate. Look at the most successful people in the world. They didn't just improve on what already existed. They created something entirely different. They looked at the way things were done and found a way to do it better, faster, and at a higher level. They weren't afraid to break the mold, to challenge what everyone else accepted as normal. That's what thinking 10x does. It forces you to look beyond what's possible right now and find a way to make it happen. When you aim higher, you start to see opportunities you never noticed before. You stop wasting time on things that don't truly matter because they won't get you to that level. You become ruthless with your focus, with your time, with your decisions. You stop playing the short game and start thinking long term. And when you do that, success isn't just possible, it's inevitable. This is the difference between people who stay stuck and those who break through. The ones who stay stuck are always making small tweaks, minor improvements, hoping that over time it'll add up to something big. The ones who break through decide that small improvements aren't enough. They go all in. They push beyond what seems reasonable. They take risks. They think bigger. And they refuse to settle for average. The question is, what are you aiming for? Are you playing small because it feels safe? Or are you willing to set a goal so big it forces you to become a different person? Because that's what true success requires. It's not about getting a little better. It's about becoming someone who operates at a completely different level. And that starts with how you think. If you want to be in the top 0.01%, stop thinking 2x. Start thinking 10x. Number 18, change your calendar every year to 10x growth. Most people go through life repeating the same year over and over again. They set the same resolutions, follow the same habits, and live by the same routines. And then they wonder why nothing ever changes. If you want to grow, if you want to reach that top 0.01%, you can't afford to live the same year twice. You need to change your calendar every single year to force growth. What does that mean? It means looking at your entire year and asking, what needs to change to take me to the next level? It means removing things that no longer serve you and adding things that push you forward. Because if you don't actively design your life, your old patterns will do it for you. Think about last year. How did you spend your time? Who did you surround yourself with? What habits did you stick to? What distractions did you allow? Now ask yourself, if you repeat that exact same year, will you get closer to your biggest goals? If the answer is no, then something needs to change. People who achieve massive success don't stumble into it. They create it by intentionally structuring their time, their environment, and their priorities to force growth. They don't just work hard. They work on the right things, at the right time, in the right way. Maybe last year you wasted too much time on things that didn't matter. Maybe you let the wrong people take up your energy. Maybe you didn't challenge yourself enough, and you stayed in your comfort zone. If you're serious about growth, you can't let that happen again. This year needs to look completely different. Start by changing your daily structure. If you spent too much time reacting last year, responding to emails, handling problems, dealing with distractions, flip it around. Block out time for your most important work first. Make your mornings sacred. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Look at the people in your life. Are they pushing you forward or holding you back? The top 0.01% surround themselves with people who challenge them, who raise their standards, who force them to think bigger. If your environment isn't making you better, change it. Audit your habits. The things you do every day determine your future. Are your habits aligned with the person you want to become? If not, they need to go. Success isn't about motivation. It's about consistency. And the only way to be consistent is to have the right habits locked in place. Finally, change your goals. If your goals from last year don't scare you anymore, they're too small. Set new targets that stretch you, that force you to grow. Make them big enough that you have to become a completely different person to achieve them. This is how you grow at an exponential rate. Not by hoping things will get better, but by forcing them to. By designing your life in a way that makes success inevitable. If you repeat last year, you'll get last year's results. If you want a different outcome, you have to change the way you operate. The best in the world are relentless about this. They never settle. They never get comfortable. Every year they look at their lives and ask, what needs to change? And then they make those changes. No hesitation, no excuses. That's why they keep winning. The question is, will you do the same? Will you take control of your time, your habits, your environment, and your mindset? Will you break free from repeating the same year over and over again? If you want to be in that top 0.01%, don't just set goals. Change your calendar, change your life, and never ever live the same year twice. Number 19, understand the 4 levels of luck. When we talk about luck, it's easy to think of it as something that just happens. Maybe you catch a break, or maybe you don't. It's random, right? But here's the truth. There's a lot more to luck than we're led to believe. In fact, if you want to reach the top 0.01%, you need to understand the 4 levels of luck and how they work. The first level of luck is what I call blind luck. This is the kind of luck where you just happen to be in the right place at the right time. You might meet someone who changes your life. You might find an opportunity you weren't even looking for. Or you might get a stroke of good fortune that seems completely random. Now, this is the kind of luck most people hope for. They think it's just about being at the right place, at the right time, with the right attitude. But here's the thing. Blind luck doesn't happen often, and it's not something you can count on. The second level of luck is what I call the luck of preparation. This is where you start to take control. You do the work, you prepare, you get good at what you do, and then when an opportunity comes your way, you're ready to grab it. You don't just get lucky by being at the right place at the right time. You get lucky because you've put yourself in a position where luck can find you. This is the luck that comes when you've spent countless hours learning, practicing, and growing. This is the kind of luck you can build by working on your skills, your knowledge, and your mindset. Now, the third level of luck is where things get really interesting. This is the luck of creating your own opportunities. This is the luck that the top 0.01% understand deeply. Instead of waiting for a break to come your way, you go out and make your own. You put yourself in situations where you can create value, make connections, and build your own future. You don't wait for a lucky moment to fall into your lap. You create that moment through your actions. You do the work, you take risks, and you make things happen. You're no longer waiting for luck, you're creating it. But there's a fourth level of luck, and it's the highest level. This is the luck of being able to see and seize opportunities that others can't. It's about having the vision to recognize what most people overlook. It's about being able to see connections, patterns, and possibilities, where others only see problems. The top 0.01% don't just take action. They see things that other people miss. They spot opportunities before anyone else even knows they exist. To get to that level of luck, you need to train your mind to look beyond the surface. You need to be constantly learning, constantly evolving, and always on the lookout for the next big thing. You need to be so in tune with your goals, your industry, and the people around you that you can see opportunities that others miss. But let's be clear, none of these levels of luck happen by accident. They all require work, preparation, action, and vision are the foundations of creating your own luck. If you want to be in that top 0.01%, you can't wait for things to just fall into place. You have to make them happen. The problem is, most people are stuck at the first level of luck. They sit around hoping for things to work out, hoping for the right break, but they never take the steps to make it happen. The second level is where things start to shift. When you prepare and put in the work, you open up the doors to better opportunities. And if you want to reach the next level, you have to stop waiting for luck and start creating it. In the end, the key is simple. Don't rely on random luck. Don't sit around hoping for a break. Get to work, put yourself in the right situations, and start creating your own luck. When you do that, you won't just be successful. You'll be unstoppable. And the best part, the more you create, the more luck you'll have. It's a cycle that just keeps getting better. Number 20, use exposure therapy to overcome fear. Fear is a natural part of life. It's something we all experience, whether it's fear of failure, fear of rejection, or even fear of success. It's that knot in your stomach before making a big decision, or that hesitation you feel when you're about to take a leap into the unknown. But here's the thing, fear doesn't have to control you. It doesn't have to keep you stuck, holding back from reaching your full potential. In fact, the most successful people know how to face their fears, not avoid them. And you can too. The key is exposure therapy. Now, exposure therapy is something you might have heard of in the context of dealing with phobias, but it works just as well for life's everyday fears. The basic idea behind it is simple. You confront the fear over and over in a safe and controlled way until it no longer has the power to hold you back. This isn't about ignoring your fear or pretending it's not there. It's about conditioning yourself to become stronger and more resilient every time you face it. The more you expose yourself to what scares you, the less scary it becomes. It's like building a muscle. You don't get strong by avoiding the weight, you get strong by lifting it. The first step to overcoming fear through exposure therapy is acknowledging it. You need to understand what you're afraid of. It's easy to say you're scared of something like public speaking. But what's at the core of that fear? Are you afraid of being judged? Are you afraid of making a mistake in front of people? Are you afraid of being rejected? You can't start to deal with fear if you don't understand exactly what's driving it. You need to dig into the specifics, get to the root of it, and realize that in most cases, the fear is much bigger in your mind than it is in reality. Once you've identified the fear, the next step is to start taking small actions that will help you face it. If public speaking terrifies you, don't start by speaking to an audience of 1,000 people. Instead, begin by speaking in front of a mirror, then progress to a few friends, then maybe a small group, and slowly work your way up. With each step, the fear starts to lose its power. The more you practice and expose yourself to the fear, the less overwhelming it becomes. But it's not just about exposure to the fear itself. It's also about changing the way you think about fear. Most people avoid fear because they believe it's something to run away from. They believe that if they feel fear, it means they're doing something wrong. But the truth is, fear is a signal that you're growing. If you're not afraid, you're probably not pushing yourself hard enough. Fear isn't the enemy. It's a sign that you're stepping out of your comfort zone and trying something new. When you reframe fear this way, it becomes a powerful motivator. Every time you feel that nervous excitement, that little pit in your stomach, you should think to yourself, this is growth. This is progress. The fear that once held you back can now fuel you to take action. Instead of feeling paralyzed by fear, you can use it as a sign that you're on the right track. You're pushing yourself, challenging yourself, and striving for something greater than what you have right now. The key to using exposure therapy is consistency. It's not enough to face a fear once and then move on. You need to keep exposing yourself to it. Keep challenging yourself until the fear no longer has the power to control you. That's how you build confidence and resilience. When you keep facing your fears day in and day out, it becomes easier to handle the discomfort. Over time, you develop a tolerance to fear, and it doesn't shake you as much as it used to. Remember, fear is not something to fear itself. It's simply a sign that you're growing, evolving, and moving toward your goals. Embrace it, lean into it. Use exposure therapy to take the fear out of fear. Because the truth is, every successful person has faced fear, and it's not their lack of fear that sets them apart. It's their ability to move forward in spite of it. So take that first step, even if it's small. With each step you take, you're not just facing your fears, you're conquering them. And once you do that, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Number 21. Give away value freely to build trust and influence. When it comes to building trust and influence, there's a simple but powerful principle that often gets overlooked. The more you give, the more you receive. Now, I'm not talking about giving with the expectation of getting something back right away. I'm talking about giving freely, giving without strings attached, and watching how it shapes your relationships, your influence, and your life in ways you never imagined. We live in a world where everyone is trying to take something. People want your time, your attention, your resources, your energy. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of trying to protect what you have, always looking out for yourself, and wondering how you can get ahead. But here's the thing. The most successful, influential, and respected people aren't focused on getting. They understand that the more value they give away, the more they attract, both in terms of opportunities and the people who trust them. Let me put it this way. When you give value to others, whether it's your knowledge, your time, your skills, or your support, you're building a connection, and connections build trust. People will remember that you didn't ask for anything in return when you help them. And when you give in a way that's genuinely helpful, not out of obligation or to gain something for yourself, you create a lasting impression. People trust those who are willing to give, because they know those people are reliable, selfless, and committed to adding value in the world. But it's not just about giving anything and everything. It's about giving what truly matters, what others need, and what you're uniquely equipped to provide. You've got something inside of you that others don't have. Your experience, your perspective, your skills, your story, they're all valuable. When you share them, whether in your work, your personal life, or your community, you're offering something no one else can. And this act of giving helps you build influence in ways that don't require manipulation or strategy. It's authentic and genuine. Think about the people in your life who you trust most, the ones you turn to for advice, support, or encouragement. They're the ones who've given to you, right? They've shared their wisdom when you needed it. They've been there when you were struggling. They've celebrated your victories as though they were their own. These people have built trust by giving, and over time that trust has created a powerful influence in your life. You don't forget them because they've shown you that they care, that they're invested in your success. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but what if I give and I don't get anything back? Well, here's the beauty of this principle. The more you give without expecting something in return, the more you'll start to notice that good things begin to come your way. Sometimes that might be in the form of opportunities. Other times it might come in the form of support when you least expect it. But the most important thing to understand is that when you give freely and openly, you're not doing it for a direct return. You're doing it because it's the right thing to do. And in doing so, you'll attract the kind of people and opportunities that align with your values. The act of giving builds a network of trust around you. And let's be clear about one thing. This isn't just about being nice or generous. This is about creating real value, about investing in others in a way that's meaningful and impactful. You're not giving for the sake of it. You're giving because you believe that by helping others succeed, you succeed too. You're not looking to gain, you're looking to add something positive to the world. And in doing so, you naturally build the trust and influence that will ultimately come back to you. It's also important to note that trust and influence don't happen overnight. They require time, consistency, and a long-term perspective. But once you start giving, once you start contributing to others without expecting anything in return, you'll start to see the shift. People will recognize your genuine approach, and they'll be drawn to you. They'll want to work with you, collaborate with you, and support your endeavors. The impact of this is far-reaching. When you build trust through giving, you create a solid foundation for success, both personally and professionally. People will go out of their way to help you, recommend you, and open doors for you, simply because they believe in what you stand for and they trust you. Your influence will grow, not because you're manipulating the system, but because you've built real, authentic relationships based on trust and value. So as you go through your day, think about what you can give. What do you have that could make someone's life easier? What knowledge, experience, or skill could you share? How can you make a difference, no matter how small? Start with the intention to give, and watch how the world around you changes. Because when you give away value freely, you don't just build trust, you create the kind of influence that lasts a lifetime.